Chaneil Imhoff, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Darren. That will definitely be a good day, and it will be a very good day to see the three major political parties in Antigua today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, but since we have started along the topic of debates, maybe we can start there, just to have the conversation flow. Of course, you've already registered publicly your disappointment with the outcome of Sunday, which, of course, there was a debate slated between yourself, Peter Reds, and Rawdon Turner. Um, have there been any conversations between yourself and the other candidates as to whether there is a possible date or the potential for a possible date or rescheduling of this debate?
Unfortunately, not. We have not rescheduled anything as yet. I am hoping that at some point in time we do that because activities like debates, for me, aren't about who can talk the best because you can talk the best and there's nothing coming out your mouth. Debates are very important to our democracy. We are the same people who sit down and feverishly watch debates with the U.S. president and vice president, and there's nothing stopping us from doing that here. It will definitely be a credit to our democracy and help our politics mature much more than it is right now.
But you said that it's important for our democracy, and I'm inclined to agree with you. It ought to be important to our democracy, but we really don't have a history of debates, do we? I can't remember a debate that off the top of my head. I think there was a discussion organized at one point in time, but in terms of a major debate between the leading candidates in the various constituencies and certainly political leaders, I can't recall off the top of my head a political debate. So why do you think it is that we have not matured to that level to readily embrace having public debates before an election or during an election campaign?
Because I think our politics is still at a point where we are looking at personalities and rhetoric and a lot of divisiveness, as opposed to listening to what everyone has to say. Oh, I grew up in a red, orange, blue house, and that's what I know, and that is what I'm going to be voting for. Some of us still do have that sort of mentality. Luckily, the newer generations coming up right now do not share those sentiments. So hopefully that is a sign for something great in the future.
Right. Are you optimistic, though? Given what happened this last weekend, are you optimistic? Do you think, we will see a debate between John Messiah, Harold Lovell, and Gaston Brown?
I think we can if the people who want it fight hard enough for it, because honestly, I was very excited for the debate on Sunday, not only to get an opportunity to share, my plans for St. Peter, but also to hear what the others have to say and to bounce ideas. Because if we are all going into this with the same vision, which is to represent the St. Peter constituency, we should be able to sit down and have a conversation, challenge each other, and work for the good of the constituency. We prefer to cut from a platform rather than to take our time and have a conversation and have our real substance revealed. Because we've gone many years with, who can talk the loudest, who can shout the most, and a lot of it lacks actual substance. When you listen it over, they're not saying anything to you. And it's sort of why we are where we are right now. People are frustrated and concerned about many different things, the economy, etc., and all you're hearing is political rhetoric on a platform and not fully fleshed out ideas that are challenged by other persons with different perspectives and really delved into to a point where a constituent can say, okay, yes, that makes sense to me.
Right. As a young person in this country, why is that so important to you? Having dialogue from all sides, as opposed to, as you mentioned, shouting from a campaign platform, and criticizing the opponent, etc., etc. Why is that so important to you? Because I think oftentimes the young persons or persons in the younger generations tend to feel ignored by the political process.
I think it's very important, not just for me, but for most young people, just as you said, to feel heard and to feel seen. And organized debates are a way in which you can do that. Because, of course, you can have debates and you're going to have questions coming in from the public. And I remember feeling so proud a few years ago when the name of the group is escaping me, and I am so sorry.
I think you think this is the thing. We have that Precision Center, I believe it was.
Right, the Precision
Yes,
Center.
I think so. I'm trying to remember myself, but yes.
And I was so proud to be there, and I was so proud that it was happening because I thought, this is an amazing step forward. And the room was ram-packed with young people, and that is what I loved to see because, contrary to popular belief, young people do care about what goes on in their country because it affects them. A lot of what's going on is affecting young people the most. You understand? So, joblessness, environmental issues, mental health issues. These are things that affect young people a lot. So they do care. But as you say, they often feel like they are not being heard or seen. And organized debates give them that opportunity to be heard, to be seen. And I know a couple of young people from that very event are now extremely politically involved. And I don't mean politically involved in the sense of joining a political party or anything like that, but they ask more questions. They are much more critical of a political party when they come out with a policy. They're like, okay, this is cool, but how exactly are you going to do that? They're asking the right questions now. So events like these are important to show, one, you're being heard and seen, and two, to ensure that young people are thinking critically about the decisions they're going to make for them and their futures.
All right. Now, tell us a little bit about connecting St. Peter online. This is something that you would have introduced to the discussion on the said Big Issues program last Sunday with Kieran Murdoch. Tell us about it for those who may have missed the discussion, and you can expand and also tell us of how critical it is to your candidacy, your potential candidacy for the constituency of St. Peter.
So, Connecting St. Peter is an online network of business owners across the constituency because COVID-19 has shown us how important it is to diversify our economy and to ensure that the right resources are available to the many, many small businesses that make up our little burgeoning entrepreneurial ecosystem. And for me, providing physical infrastructure alone is not enough because you can give somebody a building and say, hey, and they have no idea what to do with it. So young entrepreneurs especially must be equipped with the resources that they need to ensure the success of their businesses. So by resources, I mean information about branding, marketing, how to properly register your business, registering with Inland Revenue, Social Security, medical benefits. If you need to contact DCA about anything you don't want, a repeat of what happened in Durham the other day. You understand? So it's important to furnish them with this sort of information in one place. In one place, because we're very famous for a lot of red tape and bureaucracy and not being able to find information you need, and so moving away from that and putting this all in one place, and this will be the foundation upon which a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem will be built. Because outside of being a team leader candidate, all of that thing, I'm a communication consultant. I'm an entrepreneur myself, so this was born out of a need that I saw along my entrepreneurial journey. Because I believe, you see problems, you don't just go and scream and complain about the problem. You solve the problems, and not everything that you want to do, you have to wait and say, okay, well, when we get elected, we are going to do this. No, this is something that I can do now using the skills and talents of myself and my team and my colleagues across the region to help people who need it right now. People are not going to say, well, I'm going to wait for the help after the election. No, it's much deeper than that. People need to be empowered all year long and not just when an election is imminent.
Right. Where can this facility be found, this online portal, if you will? Or where can the online portal be found? Is it on Facebook, or you have to go to a website?
Well, for right now, the website is up. The social media should be up and fully functioning by the end of the week.
Okay.
ConnectingPeter.com. Persons can go take a look around. There are a few resources up about branding currently. And as we go along over the next few weeks, we'll be populating the site with much more information from the different statutory corporations, some articles, and tips and all of that from local, regional, and international professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Will be added as the weeks go along, so people can come on, drop their email address. You don't have to be from St. Peter to access the resources, but in order to showcase, you will have to be from St. Peter. There's a 48-hour verification period, 48 hours or less, just to make sure, hey, this person is actually in a business in St. Peter, because you want to create a hyperlocal platform that people right around the corner. I live in Vernon. I would like to know that if I want something to eat, if I want this done, that done, I don't have to travel all the way to town.
Yeah.
I can go and get it done in Param. I can go and get it done in Piers, Painters, Weirs, whatever. So it's very important to connect people with customers who are close to them, because that is really self-explanatory.
How many?
When they're close, likely to come.
Right. How many businesses do you estimate exist in the well, let's just say St. Peter. I can't just include Param only.
Exactly. Darren?
Yes.
Honestly, from my very quick research the other day, it is a lot.
Okay.
It is a lot. Just as we say, just in Param alone, plenty. There's a particular corner there where, everybody's selling something. On the weekend especially, whether it's, food, there are persons who do handmade beauty items like soap, lip balms, and everything. There's so many people doing things within the constituency. St. Peter, Gunstrup, Piers, Weirs, Blackman's Painters. Found out the other day that there's a really nice bar in Painters. So it's very important that we include everyone, because there are so many of them, and I know there are many people around the island who don't even know. They're looking for something new to do. They're looking for something different, and you can find it right around the corner.
Okay, so have you had any conversations with any of these business persons to get a sense of what they need, what they want, what would they like to see happen to help them to help themselves in the advancement of their business? Have you had those types of conversations? I'm assuming you engage in canvassing as a political operative. You naturally would. So what sort of feedback have you gotten from engaging with these business persons in terms of what they consider to be their needs?
Right. So I've engaged with dozens of business owners, because it seems like every other house, the person has some sort of small business, whether they're a hairdresser, barber, caterer, restaurant, ice cream parlor, seamstress, and they're all saying the same thing, essentially, that they're looking for support, not just somebody to give them some money in their hand, but support in terms of understanding something as simple as how to keep their books, branding and marketing. It usually, sometimes I go and canvas and it turns into a whole consultation about their brand and what they can do to improve it. Because, persons come in and they have these talents and skills. I might be an amazing cook, but I don't know nothing about marketing. And we have to make sure that they have access to these tools, because you can have all the talents and skills in the world. You can have this great business idea, but if you don't know how to sell it, then it's just going to drop flat. So most of them are looking for actual support and resources on how to ensure the longevity of their business. All and right. DNA's policy of mentorship for entrepreneurs using the development bank and successful owners, all of that comes into play with a network and a platform like this, because everything feeds into our overall vision for sustainable development in Antigua over the next 20 years.
All right, over the next 20 years. All right, well, let me ask you, you've been campaigning, you just acknowledge that, and I would imagine, so if you want your campaign to have a sense of viability, what are your observations so far about the campaign? The United Progressive Party would have launched their campaign last Thursday. Of course, the Antigua Labour Party, Prime Minister led by Gaston Brown, has not yet launched, but of course, they're in many different ways jockeying for position for the next election campaign. What have you been doing, and what is the DNA doing to make themselves relevant and to have currency in the upcoming election campaign? Just give our listeners a sense of what the DNA has been up to.
So for the past few months, the DNA has been extremely active, whether it's on social media, traditional media, in the communities, we've been extremely active because we believe it's important to be prepared. Not prepared to the point where we look paranoid, but prepared to the point where, an election is called and the DNA will be fielding a full slate of candidates. So we're doing the work in front and behind the scenes to ensure that we present Antigua and Barbados with a slate of candidates who have substance over hype.
All right. Now, in the most recently concluded general elections in Barbados, the third parties, fourth parties, fifth parties did not have a very good showing at all. Many lost deposits. It was a straight fight between the Barbados Labour Party and the Democratic Labour Party, a.k.a. the Dems. Many political analysts have suggested that, especially in this time of COVID, third parties really and truly don't have the relevance they otherwise would have, and which is not saying much in and of itself. Is the DNA concerned about its campaign viability and its political viability, being a third party against the two established parties? I mean, what are your concerns about that, and how would you respond to those concerns? That as a third party, you're going to probably basically hand power back to the incumbent, i.e., the Antigua Labour Party.
I don't think we are going to be handing back power to anybody. People, as somebody said to me, people are tired of red and blue and they're ready to try something new, right? People throughout our canvassing, so not just within St. Peter, but throughout the length and breadth of Antigua and Barbuda, persons have indicated that, listen, they've tried both of these over the years and they've pretty much ended up in very, very similar situations, yeah?
Okay.
And we look at ourselves as one of the main political parties because we're not just a third or fourth party out there, We've managed to stay the course over the last 5 years. This year's DNA's 5th anniversary. So we've managed to stay that course and to have a connection with the people of Antigua and Barbuda that we think going into a general election will have a great showing.
You think you'll have a great showing? So you see, you see yourself, well, not yourself only, of course. I know you'd love to see yourself in Parliament, but you see the party nabbing a few seats in the upcoming general election. Is that what you're predicting?
Of course. I wouldn't be on here. I'm not a morning person, Darius. I wouldn't be on here 7:15 in the morning if I didn't believe that with my whole heart.
Okay. Fair enough. I want you to react to some of the reaction that we've gotten this morning to some of the points that we discussed in the earlier part of our interview. Sad to say, Darren, but older folks love the same old gutter politics. They love to call in and cuss, and they love to hear their political idols criticized from the podium on a platform. How would you respond to that? Is there a generational divide in how we perceive politics and the political discussion and debate in this country? Is there an age divide, a generational divide?
Not so, kind of, yes and no. There is a bit of a generational divide, and there is a mindset divide as well, because there are some young people who are just like, hey, whereas there are some more mature folks who are like, yeah, I think it's about time that we do something like this. So I think it's more so about mindset than anything else. But there is a bit of a divide because after Sunday's debate was cancelled, I didn't expect the type of uproar that I saw. My phone was blowing up. I had to make it clear because they didn't, at first, they didn't make it clear which two candidates pulled out. And I had to make it very clear, hey, Anamina, that's literally what I had to say. I was very much ready. Anybody who knows me knows that, I would have been in my element. That's a skill that I have developed over the last decade or so, because as many persons know, I have been around for a long time. I've been involved in, politics and political activism for over 15 years, and that's more than half my life, right? So this is not something that I am new to. So when I was given the invitation, I was like, all right, bet, I'm there. And a lot of persons, the excitement that I saw from a lot of persons, because I knew it wasn't going to be a cuss-out, kick-down, drag-down situation. It's never like that on The Biggest. The Biggest is a nice Sunday program you can listen to without your blood pressure going up.
Yes.
So they knew what was coming, and persons were excited about it, and they were equally as angry when it did not come off in the way it was supposed to come off. So that alone shows you that the people are ready for it, and it's up to us to give it to them. So I am available. Mr. Turner, Mr. Harriet, I am available.
Yeah.
I am available.
And Mr. Murdoch is waiting patiently for this to be sorted out.
And I have to commend him for putting that together. I have to commend him for putting that together. It was it could have been an amazing program, and it would benefit not only us as candidates to really show the people of St. Peter what we're about, but it would benefit them as well to be able to listen to all perspectives in the same room, and us challenging each other, going back and forth in a way to ensure that the best ideas come forth.
All right. You mentioned that the DNA is about to celebrate its 5th anniversary. When is that?
In April.
In April. Is the party planning a campaign launch similar to that of the other opposition party, i.e. the United Progressive Party?
Well, we're planning something a little bit different. We plan to unveil our slate by the end of this month, actually.
Oh, okay.
We're not waiting until April. We'll be doing that by the end of this month. So, of course, just watch the space. We'll be doing something a little bit different, because we're all about being new, fresh, and dynamic. So not going to be along the lines of the UPP or anybody else for that matter. Yeah, we're gonna be a little different with it.
All right. All right. So you're the second representative of the DNA that has said to me that we're going to see a full slate of candidates by the end of this month. So the listeners are going to hold you to that, right? So let your political leader know that my listeners have very good memories. Well, of course, when it's convenient sometimes, but that's how it is. let me share with you some further reaction from Chandler Codrington. Darren, debates mean nothing to the politically ignorant citizens who pretend that they want debates but is influenced by the corrupt money they get in their red t-shirts. That is why I left politics in 2014. Is that an issue, Chaneil? Folks say, look, regardless to what, at the end of the day, it's going to be what you can do for me. People are not concerned about issues necessarily. They're just concerned about their own personal bread and butter issues and their personal advancement and what the politician can do for them. The DNA may not have the deep pockets of the UPP and the ALP, so how is the DNA going to compete? I mean, that's the reality of the politics that we have to deal with, no? How do you react to that? How do you respond and deal with that in this characterized political environment?
I wouldn't call anyone ignorant. I wouldn't say they're politically ignorant or ignorant in any way, shape, or form, right? Let me give you a scenario, Darren. Sure. You are especially on the backdrop of this pandemic, right? You are a single parent who works in the tourism industry. Of course, you know what happened there when it came to the pandemic. Somebody comes to your house and offers you money. Are you not going to take it? You can't shame people for that. If our administrations, our successive administrations, would put plans and policies in place to empower people throughout the year and not just during an election time, that's not something we'd have to worry about so much. Of course, there will always be the people who probably don't even care. But at the end of the day, everyone has their reasons for doing things, and we can't, go labeling people as, politically ignorant because they've been put in a position by the same political forces to be dependent upon them. You understand? Because it's a situation where, like, for instance, in St. Peter, now the entire half of my mother's family is from St. Peter, like Parham, Piers, etc. And when you go to places like Parham sometimes in certain areas, I think if Columbus come back right now, he recognizes it. If Columbus come back today, he's like, oh, yeah, remember that. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But the election time will come around and you get the envelope and whatnot because there's actually no development going on. So if there was a situation where Parham Town, and remember it is a town, it's not like a village or anything like anywhere else. It was the first town in Antigua and Barbuda. If a place like that is ripe and right for development is actually redeveloped, and we, outside of giving people the fish and teach them how to fish and ensure that particular area is turned into something beautiful, then we will mitigate those issues. This is not a situation where, people are going to be like this and head and step. No, we have to put the plans and policies in place to make sure that people are empowered throughout. And when it comes to the DNA, we are optimistic that especially young voters are invested in their future. This pandemic has, because we're home for so long, a lot of persons are finally, waking up to the reality of what is going on, and they've become invested in their future. They're like, you know what, if something like this happens again, I don't want to get caught slipping. A lot of people don't get caught slipping again. So they have opened their eyes and they're critically analyzing the things that people are saying to them and are promising them. So we have the utmost faith in not just the young people, but the people of Antigua and Barbuda to listen carefully to what people are telling you, critically analyze, and ask questions. We are so easy to find.
All right. Chaneil Imhoff, teen leader from the St. Peter's constituency. Hopefully the next time we have a back and forth, or conversation rather, that will be about the launch of your slate of candidates. I'm sure it will be interesting and a source of much discussion, or the cause for much discussion in Antigua and Barbuda. Looking forward to it.
Definitely.
All right.
Most definitely.
Thanks so much. And just to let you know, we've had quite a bit of engagement on this conversation this morning, particularly on the subject of the debate. People want to see a debate. That's the feeling I'm getting. So
yes,
that should be encouraging for you this morning, if nothing else. Thank you so much, Chaneil Imhoff.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yep, bless.